Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is Jones Reports for the 7th of October. Well, we're coming off of the breakdown that we had here and the equivalent of what we would call a delta V reversal, which is where you have a significant drop. It makes a new low, finishes third to halfway up into a bar, in this case above 50%, which we like anyway, and then eclipses the previous one. Now we've gapped down here to start out the morning, but still overall, these are all the configurations we look for from a generally bullish move. Of course, getting the DOC red over the 13 would be more sustainable, but it's taken a little bit, but it's been a decent turnaround. And again, we're going to get a lot of variation now with the political turnings, and that's going to just create more volatility, which overall is not a problem because we can still see where we're going with it from our shorter time frame charts, so they're 50K or even the 5K. From an NQ standpoint, it was a little bit stronger because you can see the DOC red is almost breaking above the negative 13.5 as it is, though it crossed over from a steel standpoint. So short-term buyers a little bit, I wouldn't say less strong, but they've already used up quite a bit as we near the peak there. They're going to have to spike over the 13.5 to really keep things rolling along. From a euro standpoint, we're getting closer and closer to Brit exit timeline. That's going to create a bit more volatility as the ebb and flow of deal, no deal, in between, and all that blah, blah, blah. But we had the buy come in that was, on the dip crossover here with the steel in this broad, longer-term short. That hasn't changed, but you can get these little up pops in between, and that's what we're in the middle of right at this particular point. Critical point here of the steel with, the cyan and green, because they're about to meet, and 666 versus 681, so close, but it's just a matter of getting that strong crossover of green would be a continuation to the upside, and a failure or rejection sharply would indicate that we're going to come back and retest the dip below the red line, which we will at some point. It's just a question of whether we get a continuation pop first. USO, oil, so we've had this big decline. We're still at a negative run on this. That hasn't changed, even though it popped back up to the 23%. It's possible you can get to the 38 with the dip that's currently taking. You have steel coming across here right now, but that's still likely to pull back to the lows as well. And a lot of that's going to hinge on economic activity and whether or not things have been paralyzed with all the political speech, which that tends to happen in America. Americans tend to just hold off if they're uncertain about things. And so all that talk about a recession that wasn't happening could actually happen simply because of the political fear aspect of it. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the coming weeks. From a gold standpoint, that's still going to be encouraging to gold in general. So we've gone into this little bit of consolidation, filled in some of the extremes. So it's just a matter of as fear grows, you'll probably see gold continue to rise. It's going to be the safe haven going through. For some reason, my chart's not updating correctly at the current time frame. We had this beautiful run from the other day that was quite significant. It's a 50K. Going from there, let me put up 5K. Here we go. So this is what we had from the previous day. It was pretty much straightforward. We ended up with a few moves of cyan going below, and then the steel pretty much stayed below. We had a couple of little correction points when we were in kind of a flat zone, but very strong shakeout. Stayed positive throughout the entire run along this nice gold rise. And then they finally met midway right about here, and we were still cyan underneath there, and there was no chance for steel to do anything but just continue along. And then we got another rise of the gold going through there, and so we've just met as we reached the peak right there, which was early on before what we saw was this gap down. And that's certainly going to create more interesting. I have to reset my system and find out why I'm not getting the current reset on that, but I'll get that squared away and we'll figure out where we're at in the current setup. But pretty much filled back at minus 14 from here down to the low 40s. We've filled back in all these positive extremes coming back through, that late afternoon breakout, which took place right about here. And that had a low of 38.50, which we've already taken out. And the other ones had already been filled going back here. And so that pretty much does exactly what you expect it to do. So took care of it quickly, and no surprise. That's just part of that volatility trapping people and forcing both covering from long and covering from shorts on the moves. And we're probably going to see a lot more of that in the swings to come. So we'll just stick with the readings and take it from there. As always, though, I will update everything as I get new and interesting readings on the charts that will give us something to work with. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.